So we've got, yesterday, the city commission was meeting at the golf club on their planning meeting, and I know they're going to be starting again pretty soon this morning. So we'll definitely get started sooner rather than later, because we've got quite a few people that I see on the call that have got to get to that meeting as well. Peter Arts, I see you there. When does the golf club meeting start? Peter, where did you go? Peter, I can't hear you.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to my agenda here for the meeting, and I believe it starts at 8:30.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. 8 a.m.
Oh, so they've already started at the golf club this morning? Okay.
How long are they?
According to their agenda, they seemed to be on time yesterday, so yes.
Okay.
Peter, from your background on your screen, you would be standing right in the middle of Atlantic Avenue.
I would be at the office having a Diet Coke. Thank you for noticing. And that's called the Arts District, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you, Peter, for the plug. It's called the Pineapple Arts District,
That's your district, David.
which the DDA is very thankful to the DDA for supporting us all the time.
Thank you, David, for saying that.
Been partners with you guys for a long time. Since 1902, I think, right, Peter?
Yep, that's about right.
And you and I are only about 43. Got to catch up to Caruso. Want or forget it.
Oh, no,
Sometimes
actually, I think I was born before the Clark House. I'm waiting for the day that the Clark House is known as the Clark/Weiner House. Now there's a hell of a name. Everybody will remember that one. I never had a football team on the front porch. Who's going to remember all these friggin' stories when we're gone? Ah, yes, they won the national. I think the Hoosiers were on the front porch of the Clark House. I think that's what happened. They all got there and they won the national champion. So,
Michael, aren't you one of those Russians that lived to 120 from someplace deep in Slovakia or someplace?
Hey, I see Sophia Eccleston. Hi, Sophia. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine. So I don't know if you guys know this, you probably do, but FPL is our sponsor of the First Friday Forum. So always happy to have you on. Did you want to say a few words?
Yeah, whenever you're ready. Yeah, just
Okey-doke.
it's going to be very brief.
Okay. Okay, so David and Michael, should we kick everything off? And because we're recording now and we're live on Facebook, so we should probably get started. And Sophia's always first.
I know Mike Caruso's got to leave at 8:30, so I don't have the agenda up. But
Okay, well, let's welcome everybody to where we are, Michael.
yeah,
Welcome. Hey, I'm David Beal, and this is Michael Weiner. We're co-chairs of this great Friday Forum and the Government Economic Committees of the Chamber. And we want to welcome you to our illustrious First Friday Forum. And here's our agenda on the screen. And should we kick off with our speaker? Everybody knows Mike Caruso, our second-term state representative, entrepreneur, CPA, building owner, my landlord. We all know who Mike is, and he's fought hard for education. We know that, and fought for Delray, and longtime Delray resident, married with a lot of kids. I know that. So Mike, Michael Weiner, you want to add anything to my introduction, or should we go straight to his honor?
no, I'm just the color man. You're the announcer, so let's go straight to Mr. Caruso.
Hey, Michael, good morning, everyone. I love the baseball cap, Michael. Yeah, but I'm guessing you're sitting there in your boxers.
No. I've heard too many stories about that. And since we're being recorded, I have decided to fully dress. I even have socks on. So that's
Oh.
my wardrobe for
Well,
today.
that's good.
But I noticed that you have, thank you for honoring us with actually full attire. So
It's the uniform. I wake up in this in a suit and tie. Yeah, they're my.
did
I
you
have
did you wear that to the concert?
No, I didn't. I actually,
I would
yeah,
like
the
some
Two Live
pictures of
Crew
your outfit.
concert, Vanilla Ice, great concert. Just another great event here in Delray Beach. Followed Jimmy Buffett, a lot of fun. And-
Mike was wearing a suit and he was moving furniture in the office when people were moving in. So he's always immaculately dressed no matter what he does.
That is true.
Well, thank you. I'm gonna
So
take that as
please.
a compliment. Good morning, everybody. I'm State Rep Mike Caruso, and I want to thank Stephanie and Michael and David and all of the Chamber of Commerce, Delray Beach, for inviting me here today, and to give you a legislative update on what took place up in Tallahassee, the 2021 session. First off, my district runs from Boca Raton through Delray Beach, includes most of Delray Beach, and then runs all the way up the coastline to Singer Island. So it's about 250,000 people, and I'm honored and proud to serve this district since 2018. I guess first off, session this year was different than any other session I'd been to. Because of COVID, I guess first off, we got tested every week. There was restrictions. Nobody was in the Capitol. It was just the House members and the Senate members and their immediate staff. We weren't even allowed to bring any other staff up, our district aides up to the House. And of course, there was no guest. So, usually the halls of Tallahassee are rumbling with many people. You're always bumping into people as you go around a corner, but this time it was I think you could have played football in the middle of the halls and nobody would have minded or known. They were kind of hollow. So in this session we went up there, we were told that we were going to have a $5 billion deficit from our budget of the prior year, 2020. And so don't go up there with any anticipation of approps. In fact, there's no reason to file for appropriations. It's going to be a very skinny budget. The prior year, we had a budget of $93.2 billion in 2020, and they were expecting a budget of about 87.5 billion. And so we were trying to figure out, okay, where are we going to find this $5 billion of cuts? And, with most of the money going to healthcare and to education, that was going to be a painful move. But as committee weeks moved on, we started in November, and as we got into December, they said, well, it might not be 5 billion, it might be 3 billion, the shortfall. And then we got to January, they said it might not be 3 billion, it might be $1 billion. And pretty soon we were federal money kicked in, and we settled on a budget of $101.5 billion. So we ended up getting significant money from the federal government. And of course, that was before the governor's veto of yesterday. He set a record vetoing $1.6 billion yesterday from the budget to bring our budget down to $100 billion, just under $100 billion. So we're at $99.9 billion, our finalized budget. I think more money went into reserves. All the money from that he vetoed went into reserves. So having $6 billion in reserves, just sitting here today, not a bad thing for the state of Florida. There's not a lot of states that can say they've got a $6 billion reserve. And of course, the $1.6 billion in vetoes hit everybody. It was across the board. I think every representative, every senator had some project or projects vetoed. and including myself. I particularly was pleased, however, I had put in for about, I started out this season with requesting $28 billion of appropriations. And 28 billion, that was, a typical state rep puts in for a couple million dollars. I put in for $28 million of approps. I worked the process, through committees and through the chairs of the various appropriations committees. And I ended up getting 25 million through onto the budget before the governor, and he slashed 1.6 million of my appropriations yesterday. And I ended up with 23.5 million dollars of appropriations, which still is a grand slam. It's a home run. Unfortunately, one of the ones that was cut was one that was near and dear to us all, the Delray Beach Owens Baker Tank Improvement Project, $250,000. I had it, I worked it through the House, I worked it through the Senate, got it into the budget, did everything I could. The governor cut it yesterday. I don't know why. I called his staff yesterday to ask why. They said it might have had something to do with the funding from the federal government, and that it didn't come in compliance with that. But it could have been the fact that, we just got fined. I know we got fined about $2 million by the state for our water, and maybe he didn't feel it was right to kick us back another $250,000 after finding us $2 million almost. So that was a little disappointing, but I have to look on the bright side of what I did get. Sometimes it's not what you don't get, it's what you do get. You got to look at life that way, and the cup's always half full. So a couple of the other projects I did get, I got money for FAU, the FAU, the lab school down there, FAU Henderson, if you know that. And we finally got the final funds in order to rebuild the school. So it's a great school right in the middle of the University of FAU. It's ranked number 2 in the country in terms of lab schools. So it's a great thing. Where'd the money go? Where'd the $99.9 billion go? Well, we know that we allocated $6.9 billion for infrastructure, $2 billion for the environment, $1 billion for emergency management preparation. And I'd say overall, though, the biggest area that we got is healthcare, with about $48 billion going to healthcare. And then to K through 12, we allocated $22.8 billion. And then higher education was about $8.7 billion. All of them increased. Everybody got an increase. We're gave teachers a pay raise, across the board. We had given a 50 million. We had added $50 million increase for overall teacher salary increases. So we know that the year before we had bumped everybody's minimum salary in our education system to $47,500, $47,500 is the minimum salary. And that raised the minimum from $32,000. So we finally brought our teachers in line in the state of Florida, so that, now that our teachers won't be training here, getting their first job here, and after 2 years of getting some experience, they go off to Georgia or they go off to North Carolina. Hopefully we stem that flow of teachers leaving the state. Let's see, bills. We had one great bill that I'd been pushing. I'd run this bill for 2 years. It was HB 15. A lot of people call it the internet tax. And I'd run that bill, been requesting it for a couple of years now, but finally we bring our bricks and mortar businesses in line, or we bring the internet businesses in line with our bricks and mortar businesses. And I think that's important. COVID was tough enough for our local businesses. And now, thrown on top of the fact that, prior to this bill, the internet businesses had a 7% sales tax advantage on everybody. This brings everybody in line. So right now, if you do over $100,000 of business on the internet, you're required now to collect and remit sales tax on all your sales. And what's really good about this bill is it continues on, and that the money is going to be used first off to reduce the amount of reemployment taxes that our businesses that they currently pay and would have had to pay because of the COVID crisis and all the unemployment that was paid out. We were set this spring to raise our unemployment taxes, triple it. And because we're doing the internet tax, which should raise about $1.3 billion in funds, because we raised that we're going to raise that 1.3 billion. We're going to use it to offset the increase that would have come through our reemployment program, our RT6s. If you're a business owner out there, you know what the RT6 is. You pay a percentage on all the salaries you pay on the first $7,000 of salaries. So that was going to have to be raised. That won't have to be anymore. And once we get through that, we pay down that deficit that we have in the unemployment fund, we will then use it to reduce our sales tax that businesses pay from right now we pay 5.5% plus a 1% county surcharge, which is 6.5%. We'll be reducing that down to 2% plus the 1% county surcharge, bringing it to 3%. So instead of if you own a business and you're paying $10,000 a month in rent, your sales tax will go on the rent will go from $650 down to $300. And it doesn't sound like a lot sometime, but every time you write that check, it's a lot. And we all know that, any little thing that we can do to help our struggling businesses, continue to survive and thrive, we want to do that. So I eventually want to get rid of that sales tax. We are the only state in the country that levies that sales tax on our commercial leases. And I don't like that. It's wrong. And now I think we'll be able to get rid of that over the next few years completely. And everybody knows about our controversial bills that we had out there, HB 90, HB 1, I mean, which is I call it the anti-riot bill, and then SB 90, which is the election fraud bill. And I personally voted for both of them. HB 1, I just don't. A lot of people were saying that it would prevent peaceful protest. I think riots prevent peaceful protest, and so and I think these when we have riots, or fortunately Florida's had very few. I think they had some down in Miami a little bit, but that we've seen across the country. They disrupt our business, they disrupt our economy, and they destroy our property. And I think that's wrong. And the governor really came down hard on it. And he's, we got this bill, HB 1, and hopefully we can protect our businesses, our property, and our economy throughout the state. The election bill, I think it's SB 90. I think that bill was trying to prevent things from happening, not that they did happen in the state of Florida. I think we had a great election process this year in the state of Florida. I think in Palm Beach County, Wendy Link, supervisor of elections, Wendy Link did a super job. She's continuing to do a super job. And, I don't know that we necessarily needed this bill, but we've got it. And, I'll be happy to talk about any of the legislation we went through if you've got questions. But I personally had a few bills. Let me get those out. I can't find them. Let's see. Where are my bills? Oh, here it is. I had a bill that dealt with internet business also. One I call it, it's titled the motor vehicle rentals, and HB 365. I've got 4 bills now in front of the governor for signing into law, and hopefully he does sign them. Motor vehicle rentals. If you've ever heard of online car sharing, it's like Turo or Avail. Right up until this bill gets signed, Turo and Avail would lease cars out, rent cars out to individuals through a car sharing program, and they were not collecting the sales tax or the surcharge on those. So again, our sticks and bricks, our brick and mortar businesses like Enterprise on Federal Highway or whatever the rental car companies are in Delray Beach, they were having to charge 7% sales tax and charge $2 a day surcharge. But companies like Avail and Turo did not have to. So again, we had about a 10% advantage on the from the internet businesses over this brick and mortar businesses that we have in our city. And what this does is it mandates that Avail, all the online car sharing companies collect sales tax and the surcharge and remit it. So that I was happy to see that bill go through the House and the Senate. Again, if you know my background, I've been a strong advocate to clean up the sober home industry. State of Florida was, or Delray Beach actually was the epicenter of the sober home industry in the past, and I filed my and passed my 3rd bill regarding that, HB 319, which continues to clean up the sober home industry, get rid of the bad faith actors, and incentivize these companies to become certified and be accountable for what they do. So excited that one goes through. I had another bill, HB 805, which dealt with volunteer ambulance services. And I had another bill, HB 317, which dealt with cleaned up some language for the CPAs in the crowd, and of which I'm one of. So the FICPA came to me and asked me to run this bill, and I was honored to do so. So that's Stephanie, that's where I'm at. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I can't hear anybody.
Okay. Christina, I know that you just sent a note in the chat. Did you want to say anything?
I would just like to thank Representative Caruso. We've worked with him since he was elected. Good morning, Mike.
Morning.
To reduce the business rent tax that has always been onerous on our local businesses. And finally, personally as a realtor, I've worked on that bill for 12 years to get it reduced or eliminated. So finally, we're making headway, and a lot of that is thanks to Representative Caruso. So thank you again for your help with that. Our small businesses don't need any more taxes, believe me. And this reduction will really help.
We don't. I went to Speaker Sprouse 3 years ago. I think the first week I was in the Florida House, and I presented that bill to him that reduced the sales tax on commercial leases, and he was like, "We don't." He didn't know about it. He didn't know we even charge sales tax on commercial leases. So it was good to see him dive in and get involved and make this happen. So hats off to him.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, it's
Yes.
Michael. Was there much discussion about the Key West and the cruise ship limits and state preemption? Will that come back in the next legislative session?
Yeah, there's did that bill get signed? It's not signed. And to give everybody some background here, Key West, the citizens of Key West voted to stop allowing cruise ships into Key West. And I think, so a bill was proposed and presented and went through the House and the Senate. Do you know what bill number? HB 426, and it preempts cities from terminating their ports, any activity in their ports. Understand that all of our ports in the state of Florida have been built with the help of the state of Florida, and our and the federal government has provided a lot of funds to the state for that. And so, you know, for a city to sit there and say, we just don't want any more, you know, ship traffic, could hurt our, you know, economy, isn't really, you know, fair to the rest of the state of Florida that, you know, use their tax dollars to build those ports. It's a preemption bill, and we had a few of them this year. We had a few of them. HB1 is a preemption bill, which that, you know, it's the riding bill. It puts a lot of restrictions on local cities, but you know, I believe in home rule, but you know, responsible home rule has to come into place too. So somewhere we got to find a draw. We've got to find the line of where we don't cross. And so I know that the governor and the legislature leadership is strong on controlling what goes on in our cities and counties.
Thanks for the update. It's an interesting, ever since we did our puppy mills thing, that and it just always seems to weave itself back into what is the right balance. It is a very difficult issue. And it's easy to go one way or another depending on what the topic is. But
And sadly, Michael, you know, it's not that Delray Beach has done anything bad or wrong or it's gone too extreme on some law, but there's always some town out there that just goes, you know, I don't know, they just come up with some crazy rule, and the only way to stop it is to do a preemption for the whole state. And because we can't control just the city, we can't point at, you know, a certain town and say, you can't do this. We can only say the whole state can't do it anymore. So, you know, I'm always, I've gone both ways on those bills throughout my 3 years there. I voted up and I voted down on them. And, you know, when I vote down on against leadership, it's a tough week. One of the things I voted for this year, I voted for the arts. I voted to increase the arts budget. And it was filed in an amendment by the Democrat Representative Carlos Smith. And I got the wrath of God came down upon me, and it was tough. That was a tough month.
remember, you're being recorded.
Yeah, I know. But you know, I you know, I just try to represent my constituency. I think they know it, and I try to you know, some things I'm passionate about, the arts I'm passionate about, and it's you know, I do what I think is right. So sometimes it's in I get the blessing of leadership, sometimes I don't, but you know, try to do
Good
my
for you. Be an independent voice for us. We do appreciate
I
it.
try.
Do we have more questions? David?
I have one.
Go, Robert.
Morning.
I'm just curious about, I haven't read a lot about the voting fraud bill. What's going to change with voting with this bill?
Oh, a couple things that came up in that bill. That's HB 15, SB 15 or HB 15? I'm sorry, SB 90. That's right. 15 is the internet thing. Let me pull my notes out on that. here there. What it does is see in a nutshell, it reduces the number of elections for which one's request for mail-in ballots is allowed. It limits a person's lawful possession of vote by mail ballots. You can possess family members of vote by mail ballots, Robert. And you can possess 2 other mail-in ballots that are unrelated to you. And what they're trying to do is prevent, what that does is it prevents ballot harvesting, where people go door to door, usually put pressure on, say, the elderly, to give them their ballot, and they're trying to prevent that. It also creates regulations around ballot drop boxes, that they have to be supervised 24/7, limits the hours that ballots can be dropped off there, and then put some restrictions of you cannot when somebody's at a drop box ballot dropping their ballots in, you cannot solicit them, just like you couldn't solicit somebody in line to vote, at the polls. And then it requires that voter's signature be verified against a signature within the preceding 4 years. And what else does it do? That's primarily what it does. Yeah, Ellen, it moves up the starting time for canvassing vote by mail ballots from 22 days before an election to 35 to 40 days before an election. That's it. Hope that helps. A lot of people said it was gonna, it was a voter suppression bill. I don't see how anything I just mentioned suppresses votes, but I know some people look at it that way. A lot of times you'll hear a lot of rumor, and it won't be based on any fact. In fact, I talked to I've had bills where I have people come in and they call me and they tell me, you can't vote for this bill, you gotta vote down on it. And the first thing I always ask is, have you read the bill? And a lot of times they're frank and they go, well, no, I haven't read the bill. I said, well, you should read the bill before and then call me back. And because the bill's not saying what you say it does. And or they'll say, yeah, I've read the bill. Of course I read the bill. I said, then what line item don't you like on the bill? Go specifically to a line item. Oh, well, I just overviewed the bill, and I know they never read the bill. So, we need to read the bill before we start arguing about it sometimes.
So Robert, that's a good question, and I'm glad that you brought it up because Wendy Sartori-Link, who's our supervisor of elections, wants to come on the first Friday forum. So we're going to try to get her on for August to talk more at length about what the new rules are and everything that happens. So very good, Robert. Thank you. Always on point.
Thanks, Robert.
I have one last question. This is Vivian. I'm sorry that I'm not, and if you can hear me, I apologize for not being on video. I'm driving, but I do have a question about Florida and Medicaid expansion. If that's something that you ever see in our future, considering we're one of the minority states that are not, have not engaged, have not done the Medicaid expansion, or if you see it ever expanding to particular populations like addiction, the population that has substance use disorders, et cetera, and what your views are on that.
Thanks, Vivian. Great question. Under current leadership, I don't see any Medicare, Medicaid expansion. I just don't see that in the state's future. It would, I think the thought there is that it would just cost too much. I do see, however, you bring up some good points with regards to substance abuse and another area, mental health. I do see as we are spending more money. We have allocated this year even more money for substance abuse treatment and mental health. And I think we need to, the monies we did increase in those arenas were significant, but not enough. And I think we need to continue to move towards really attacking and getting a handle on mental health. It's becoming very widespread, and it needs, it's sad, our medical system is set up to treat mental health issues for 30 days and limit the amount of money we spend on it, to say $25,000 or whatever your, insurance policy allows it, limits it $25,000, $30,000. But if you had a heart issue or you had cancer, we'd spend $1 million. And I just don't think that 30 days of treatment for most mental health issues is sufficient. Right about the 30 days, right about the point where most individuals they're just getting a handle on the situation, and then they get dropped from the system and relapse again. So I think we need to really work on that. That's something that I will be advocating for. I will continue to advocate for in the future.
I'm so glad to hear that. My background is I'm one of the founders of Chrysalis Health and Court Options, and I've served both on ALCA's Behavioral Health Managed Care Advisory Committee, the FATA and Florida Behavioral Health Association Board and exec committees. And so longtime advocate for mental health and addiction treatment funding, because we know that the impact to society, to all of us, if we don't fund it, is huge.
Well, you mentioned it, and Vivian, I thank you for your service in that arena. This area is personal to me. I have a son. He's bipolar schizophrenic, and untreated, it's extreme. And I had to Baker Act him years ago, and he went into a facility out in West Delray, and I was his court-appointed surrogate, a medical surrogate. And when I visited him every day. On the 31st day, I went there to visit him. He was just starting to do better, where you could really noticeably see an improvement. And you finally had hope that we're going to get through this. And I get there and I go, I'm here to see my son. And they go, oh, he got released this morning. And my son relapsed, no medication, no nothing. He ended up being homeless for the next 6 years. So it's 30 days. And the reason they released him is because my insurance had run out. And it's a tragedy, and in that case, 6 years of his life wasted, but and now he's back and he's doing great. But we've got to really, we have to change the entire system when it comes to mental health and drug and substance abuse.
I so appreciate the work you're doing for folks who are suffering from those conditions. And I'm sorry to hear that's something that has affected your family, and happy to hear your son is doing well right now.
Oh yeah.
Any other quick questions for Mike? I know he's got to catch a plane.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else have a quick question for Mike? Don't want you to miss that plane. You got to get home. All right, Mike, thank you. We appreciate your strong, independent voice. I know there are things that go on behind closed doors that you advocate for, but there is a question of leadership involved. And it's good to have you as our a representative in the Republican caucus. Thank you again for your service. And thank you for being a great landlord.
Thanks, David. Thank you,
Okay.
Stephanie.
Thank you, Mike. We always love to
Michael.
see you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. And maybe next time I'll have the coffee and the bagels.
Okay, all right. I'll make sure you get some.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, I know some people have to go to a commission meeting. Peter, you said you had to leave. You want to give a DDA report? Peter
Thank you
Arts?
very much. I appreciate that. And hello to everybody. And I appreciate the opportunity to give you an update on the Delray Beach Downtown Development Authority. My name is Peter Arts and I'm the chairman of the DDA this year. And I'd like to report that Back on May 22nd, the Delray Beach Downtown Development Authority celebrated its 50th anniversary. Since our DDA was formed in honor of parking back 50 years ago, we had a very large celebration event at the IPIC parking garage. So it seemed appropriate that we celebrated our 50th there. We had just short of 300 of our constituents there, and it was a wonderful event. Also, I'd like to report that on June 14th, we'll be having our June board meeting. That board meeting will be held at our DDA offices, and you can also log in online and watch it via Zoom. Then on June 21st, we're going to be having our goal setting session for the next fiscal year that begins in October, and that also will be held in our DDA boardroom. And if you'd like a link to that, just contact the DDA either by phone or email, and we'll be sure to send you a link. So there's my update, David, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for all you do.
Sorry to jump in. Sophia Ecclestone, she's our sponsor at FPL. She's got to run, so we need to call on her quickly. If she's still here, I hope she didn't drop. There she is. Unmute, unmute.
Sorry. Yeah, I just really wanted to touch real quick on storm, because I know June 1st was a big enough storm season. So I wanted, to make sure that, I get the message out, that everyone needs to really be prepared for storm. We've prepared for storm. We recently had our storm dry run that we do every year with the company, just to ensure that, all the employees are refreshed on what needs to be done. And I just wanted to share a little bit of some of the things that we've done at FPL to make sure that we're prepared for storm. And I know last year during the pandemic, was one of the busiest hurricane season, was very active with about 30 named storm. So some of the things that we've done at FPL, we have hardened about 60% of our underground or main power lines. We have also 98% of our transmission structures are either steel or concrete, and we continue to do tree trimming and pole inspections. And one of the things that we continue to encourage the residents to do is to make sure that they're doing the right tree, right place, when they plant trees, because even though we may harden the structures, you really can't harden the line. So if a tree falls into the line, that does, delay, our restoration. So it's important that, we have the right tree, right place, tree planting policy in place. We also have our smart grid technology, that's going to help us prevent outages and really allow us to restore power before, it's safe to deploy crews. So we have deployed about 5+ million of smart meters and installed about over 155,000 of intelligent devices. And we have also established multiple diagnosis centers. And I know we're also getting out of, the pandemic. Things are loosening up a little bit, but, we're still technically dealing with, the pandemic. And so, restoration may still take some time, because we still have to socially distance our crews to make sure that, we're keeping the crew safe. So, we will still have some challenges with the mutual assistance, getting people into the state to help restore power. We will have smaller staging sites and still, as I mentioned, continue with our safety precautions. So just wanted to, share a little bit with you some of the things that we're doing at FPL, and just wanted to make sure that, we're prepared and making sure that everyone else is prepared in the event, a storm hits, because we know that we're in Florida. It's not a matter of if we will get a hurricane, it's a matter of when. So that's all I have, unless anyone had any questions. All right. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sophia. We want to have you on for a whole show for this, I think. So I think we need to do a webinar soon about hurricane prep. So we'll talk to you about that.
Okay, sounds good. I'll be happy to. Okay, all right, bye.
Okay, next, who's up? Kim Pham from CRA. Are you still on, Kim? You want to give us an
Yep, I'm still here. Hi, my name is Kim Pham. and I'm the legal advisor for CRA. So just a few updates. We have our monthly board meeting on June 10th. It's at 4 p.m. And we also, today we have our first Friday art walk at the Art Warehouse. It's from 6 to 9 p.m. We also approved a contractor for the 98 Northwest 5th at our last meeting. So that's a space that we own that we will be leasing out to local businesses, and there'll be a component of shared office spaces, so stay tuned for that. We'll also be on the Delray Morning Live on Wednesday, and we'll be talking about the Corey Jones Aisle 10 workforce housing homes that we've built. And of course, it's named after Mr. Corey Jones, who was a police officer in the community. And so we're really excited. So please tune in for that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Kim. Brian Rusher, are you still on? Did you give us a report from the city?
Still here, just a brief report. In the next few months, we'll be announcing some meetings related to parking. So happy the DDA celebrated and kind of queued up the conversation. I'm going to share a project link in the chat if anyone's interested in learning a little bit more about the project, where we are, some of the responses we got to our survey, and where you can find more information, and where memos will be posted shortly about our findings more in depth. So take a look in the chat. I'll be posting that in now.
So Brian is Minister of Transportation for the great
Well,
city.
that's a little bit too grand of a title, Mr. David. I appreciate it.
We want to report on what's going on at Northeast 1st Street and 2nd Avenue.
Oh, sure. The crosswalk intersection painting. So in celebration of Pride Month, the city is dedicating a Pride intersection right in the heart of our arts district. So we're really pleased to see the work that's ongoing with that right now. If you meander over there, you might see that the intersection is currently closed. We're trying to get it looking as good as possible for the dedication. It will be closed until after the dedication. I believe that ceremony starts at 9:30 on Saturday the 12th. And I can provide everybody that information just briefly online. I just have to dig it up. I appreciate that reminder, David. That's a great effort from the city. I'll be biking here on Saturday to participate in the ceremonies next Saturday.
All right, thank you, Minister of Transportation. Who else do we have? Steve Weissman, do you want to give a report? No, okay. Stephanie, anybody I missed?
Jackie Ramirez, do you want to say something? That there's some funding coming
I
up.
would. Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good. I'm Jacqueline Ramirez for the SBDC, as most of you know, and I'm happy to say that I'm back in office and taking clients in person, which is something I've been wanting for so long. So this is fantastic. Still available virtually, but we have a number of clients that really prefer the in-person connection. So also 2 items that are coming up on June 10th. There is a webinar that some of you may have gotten notice on. If you haven't, just let me know, on recovering business recovery. So it's how do you prepare for and mitigate and recover from hurricanes, pandemics, anything that might be happening even internally in your business that has interrupted your business operations. So that's on June 4th. It's a webinar by our one of our consultants who specializes in that area. The other thing is we added a new service, and it's called Financial Literacy. It's a 9-hour broken up in 3 sessions, and it's at no cost, and it takes individuals who are not comfortable understanding the finances of their business and takes them through a visual process of understanding how to look at their statements and what the different words are, the vocabulary, how to have a conversation with your accountant, all of that. And it's especially great for creatives, individuals who are running a business, but are not necessarily from the finance field or have a CFO to help them. So that is a 9-hour, and if anybody is interested in that, we'll register them as a client if they're not a client, and we'll connect them with Alfredo, who is actually running that course. He has a tremendous background, and he designed the platform that helps you to internalize the concepts. And I think for now, that's it. Thank you.
So we
Thank
love
you, Jack.
partnering with the SBDC. They're here in the chamber offices, and we were doing some reporting recently for the CRA, and they helped over 189 businesses last year, 107 of which were in Delray Beach CRA district. So I don't know how she has enough hours in the day to do that, but the SBDC is super helpful to our local business community. So thank you, Jackie.
Thank you, Stephanie.
So Stephanie, you're last but not least to give a report.
Okay. Well, I'll be quick because we've all got meetings to go to. So I think Angel might have the presentation up for the chamber events coming up. Don't forget Delray Morning Live every Wednesday morning at 8:30. It is incredibly entertaining these days. Jamel Stewart and Amanda are a great team, and we're filming live with a film crew every week. So as Kim mentioned, we'll be at Corey Jones Isle. We'll be previewing one of the houses that they've built there, and they're absolutely amazing. So we'll be talking about the work that the CRA has been doing in the community. This one is really great. Google zooms in to be with us. And it's going to be Tuesday, June 8th. It's our lunch and learn. And one of the things you need to remember about Grow with Google is we cannot record these webinars. You have to do it live. It's due to their corporate rules. So if you want to learn about how to grow your business with Google, you need to sign up for the link and zoom in. So go to delraybeach.com/events and sign up for it. And then we'll send you the link, but it's only webinar only live. So definitely sign up for that on June 8th. June 10th, we've got Steve Weissman, I think, on the call today. If you've never heard him speak, it is so interesting. It's a real estate roundtable that's going to be on Thursday, June 10th at 9:30. That's via Zoom. We're going back and forth. 1 month we're doing Zoom, the next month we're doing in person. But Steve is so interesting in what he's talking about. And you know what's going on with the housing market. He'll have so much insight and information about that. So definitely attend the real estate roundtable if you want to know what's happening with the housing market, the property market, which has just gone through the roof. So that should be super interesting. And that's on June 10th on Thursday. This one sold out already. This is our Chairman's Club. We're going to be having lunch at Lionfish on the 16th. So if you haven't signed up already, it's too late. It's full, but we'll be having another event in the near future for Chairman's Club. Contacts and Cocktails is at the Delray Beach Market on June 17th. That's always a great time. I know you've probably all been there by now, but this is a super opportunity to go hang out and meet some people in the mezzanine space. It's going to be fun. And then the following Tuesday on the 22nd is a webinar, and this is super important for our entrepreneurs and our young professionals. SCORE's doing a webinar on how to start a business. And even if you're working, everybody's got their own side hustle probably anyway. So they're doing step-by-step on how to start up a business. So definitely let some of your clients, Jackie, know about this one. That's on June 22nd. And I think that's it. We've got YPAD. Oh, we can't forget, Kay's probably on here, but the Delray Chamber Education Fund is going to be having their kickoff party. To explain what the Delray Chamber Education Fund is, it's the new name for Chamber Charities, which has been around for 35 years, but their primary focus is going to be education in our schools in Delray Beach. It's so important. So there's going to be a great party on June 24th at 5:30 p.m. at the Aloft Hotel. So they'll be on the splash deck. That sounds like a lot of fun. So definitely join for that. Drinks, snacks, and you get to learn about the Delray Chamber Education Fund. And next month on the First Friday Forum, we'll have our mayor, Shelley Petrolia. She's going to be zooming in to let us know what happened, what's going on now at the city's planning meeting, which is taking place literally yesterday and today as we speak. So we'll get to hear an update from the mayor on what's going on in town and what happened at the meeting that's taking place. So I think that's it.
No, Steph, no, one more. June
What?
26th, restaurant roundtable.
Did I miss that? Oh,
Yes, you
sorry.
did.
I don't know if we have a slide for that one. It's been like a long time in the making. So as David mentioned, the advocacy group is going to be working with the restaurants to develop a green buying cooperative. So it's something they're going to discuss at the restaurant roundtable, which is at 10 a.m. on June 22nd. And that's via Zoom as well. So if you're a restaurant or interested in the restaurant business, that's going to be a very interesting discussion. Thank you,
Or
David.
sustainability, if you're in sustainability and want to help.
Yeah.
but-
Or that's a really good point. You don't have to be a restaurant to be interested in sustainability aspect of it. So thank you, David.
Yeah, we need people to help us on our committee to help research all that needs to be done. So you don't have to be a restaurant, just need to be somebody who's interested in the environment, sustainability and climate change.
That's excellent. We should all be interested in that.
Thank you,
Great.
Stephen. Okay.
That's all we
Any-
got.
Any further questions or comments? So we'll see you on July 2nd, is it?
Yes, it's July 2nd and the mayor will be our guest speaker.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Interesting morning. So nice to see all of you. Take care. Bye.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.